welcome to Emily Kate Made This. I am Emily Kate and I'm coming to you from Berlin in Germany. This is who knows what episode, but thank you to everyone that subscribed. Hello to new people, hello to my, I was going to say old timers, old people, you know what I mean. Hello everyone. So it's been a long time, apologies. My mum came to visit, yay! She came to visit for the first time since January 2020, so I haven't seen her since then. It's over 2 years, and that's ridiculous. So all is well now. I have seen my mother. She came for, what was it, Saturday until Thursday. So I showed her everything I've knitted because she taught me like the physical knit stitch in 2020, and then after that it was YouTube. So I've now shown her everything that I have knitted, everything I have sewn, because I couldn't sew then either. And yes, I think she's overwhelmed now by me, like, look at this, look at this, look at this. I had another moment of my camera's all wonky, I better check that. So now we're back. So what was I talking about? I'm sure I was blabbing on about my mum's visit, so that was very exciting. We went to a few places, but I'll talk about that later. Let's stay calm, Emily. Let's get on with this. So I have 1 sewing finished object, 2 knitting finished objects, and I know, but only 1 work in progress. Technically I have 2, but it doesn't really look much different to the last time I showed you. Maybe I'll show it, we'll see. But I will briefly talk about my dress because I know that not many of you are interested in sewing, but I'll insert a video of it here because technically it's also what I'm wearing, which, do you know, the last time I joked with you guys that when you hover your mouse over the YouTube video, it shows you a small clip of what you're going to see. And the last one, I joked saying the last one I had done, I'm lifting up my top, and that's what you see. And then on last episode, the clip it used is me turning around and showing you the back of my dress, back of my skirt. So it just, all my videos and me like lifting up my top, lifting up my back. It is not a strip show, people. It really isn't. It's about knitting and sewing. But for some reason, YouTube wants to show the world me lifting up my clothes. Anyway, hopefully it won't do that now. But you will have seen the video because I'm wearing it now. It does not match, but that's irrelevant. Who needs to match? No. So the dress is by Tammy Handmade, or is it Tammy Handmade London? No, just Tammy Handmade. She lives in Berlin. We met on Instagram. She made a dress and the name has left my mind. She made a dress, I can't remember what it's called, and I really liked it, and then I made it. And when the lockdown rules were kind of lesser than, why can't I speak? I'm so excited. We met for about 45 minutes and it was marvellous. And then she started pattern designing, so I got her pattern. I made it in a raccoon fabric, which I have worn on the podcast, I'm pretty certain. But anyway, it's lovely. And now I have it with dinosaurs. And I don't know if you've watched my other podcast, but I love dinosaur print. I love dinosaurs on everything. So very happy with this dress. I had started to cut out the lining of the bodice last year, but it was about September or October, and I thought I should really just save this for the summer or spring so I can really enjoy it and wear it once it's finished. So I left it, it stayed there percolating, and yes, what was it? About the day before my mum visited, so 13th or so of May, I finished this. So that was very exciting. It's just a cotton fabric. It was reduced on a website. I think it was Mount Stofferei in Germany, I think. But it's useless telling you because it's dead stock, so you won't get it anyway. But dinosaurs are life, and that's sewing done. I'll talk a little bit more about sewing at the end for some ideas that I have, but let's get on to the knitting because I know you guys are much more into the knitting, so let's do it. And I'm sure you all have noticed the marvellous specimen before you. I'm very modest and very humble. This is my Cactus Crop. I have definitely talked about this several times on the podcast. I won't go into mass detail, one, because I've kind of forgotten, two, because I banged on about it for about 3 podcasts, so you already know. And if you really, really care, I'm pretty certain I put it on Ravelry with the notes, and I've also talked about it. So it is by Annie Lupton, which I believe is Boho Chic Fibers on Instagram. She has really beautiful patterns, and I never see anybody making them, and y'all should, because they're gorgeous and I need to make some more. I have many saved in my favourites, but as we all do, we have many lists of patterns we want to make, so it depends who gets there first. But this one was my make 9, it was on my make 9, so hurrah, another one done. And what was it? It's made in woolly knit cones. They are behind me. I've never said the numbers or the names because I never actually looked, but I assume if you go on the website, it's just obvious that there's a cream colour, a green, and a rusty orange. At the time, they were literally the only colours. Like when I bought them, there was 1 green and 1 orange, so it didn't occur to me to write down any numbers or check to tell you guys, but I know everybody's a huge fan of them, so you probably already know, and you've probably already got them. I will be controversial here and say I did not enjoy my experience using them. I really wanted to, but I really didn't, and I think it's just my own fault. I thought it was a 4-ply because it says 4-ply, but really it's like not lace, but not fingering, it's like in the middle. It wasn't the right yarn for the project, and it's super thin. It was so thin, and it was really hard to like pick up the increases with this tiny thin yarn. This came out like a ridiculous difference. I think the recommendation was 24 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and I got 34 or 36 stitches in the colourwork. And I know that I'm a tighter knitter, but I am not that tight. And I did go up a needle size, maybe 2 needle sizes. So any other yarn I've used, it has been a bit tighter, but never like 8 or 10 stitches off. So that made the whole situation stressful, because the first time I made it, it was for a 36-inch bust, and I'm a 32, and I thought plenty of ease, but then it came out like minuscule, so scratched that, ripped it all out, started again. This is for a 40-inch bust. As you can see, it is definitely not. It came out about, what is it, 4 or 5 inches smaller, which I expected, so I knew that. I wasn't going to get new yarn because the original yarn is tuku wool, which I'd really like to use, but it's so much more expensive, and yeah, it's not really in my budget, and not yet anyway, maybe one day. And I had these yarns, and I bought these woolly knit cones for it, so I was determined to use it. Realistically, I could have held it double, and that would probably have made it like the equivalent, but then the idea of having 3 colours in a row and having 6 strands of yarn to deal with, oh no, even thinking about that, just no. So, pass. But alas, it is finished, thank goodness. It's a crop and has short sleeves. The pattern has short sleeves. I definitely was happy about the short sleeve situation, because the idea of doing all this stockinette, no. I blocked it. It's a bit of a weird shape. This came out like really big. It's really loose. The stitches, I don't know if you'll be able to see. Can you see? Like, it's not very even. You can kind of see all the... From a distance it's grand. But I know it's just because I made it, I know, I'm just comparing it to what it should have been, yada yada yada. I am very happy with it. I'm so happy it's done. I never ever want to make this again with this yarn, but I'm happy that it's done. I will give the woolly knit a go on other projects, probably held double or held with mohair or held with something. And I want to make this again in the recommended yarn, but that's way off. I can't imagine when I'll be able to afford that much tuku wool, but maybe one day. Then I'll make it again, and maybe with long sleeves, because tuku wool is a Finnish wool and it'd be really cozy for winter. So yeah, that is this one. Can I say any more? I've talked about the needles before, don't remember them now. The minute I finished this, it was like, whew, information gone, don't need to think about it anymore, it's done, it's off my needles. I blocked it, and I have worn it a lot actually, considering the weather. It was about like 29 degrees, 25 degrees, like around there at Celsius. It's very toasty warm. I did wear this out when my mum was here, and I had a bit of an overheating moment in the shop, but other than that, it's all good. I really like the idea of wool regulating your temperature, but it's never happened to me. I am meltingly hot or the right temperature. I'm not like regulated with wool. Anywho, moving on. So this is the first finished object knitting wise. Why is it so hard to phrase a sentence? Phrase a sentence? Blah, blah. Let's have some tea and calm. I kicked my husband out again because my last episode was so much more fun because I could talk at full volume and I could just, I don't know, be an idiot and not know that he's there or listening or laughing at me or flushing the toilet or doing anything. So I've kicked him out because it's a bank holiday today. So he's off on his bike and I can be as loud and silly as I like. And apparently that is happening. And I'm still not drinking my tea, even though that's what I just said I would do. My second finished object, you haven't seen. You've never seen it. That's a lie. I think everyone in the world has seen it, but you haven't even seen it being cast on. I'll do a quick wardrobe change and then we'll talk about it. Ta-da! Shocking news, everyone. Another ranunculus has been born. I'm almost nervous to even mention the name in case you're like, oh yeah, done over this, click off. But there are going to be chapters below, should you not be interested in someone talking about the ranunculus again. But ta-da, here it is. It is made of Drops Belle. I bought a whole bunch of this yarn when I first started knitting, so last year I made a summer top with it, and I think I had different intentions for using the leftovers, but I don't remember what it was. And they've been sitting in my yarn stash for ages, all these little balls. The colour confused me because when I look at the ball, it's kind of like this, it's kind of yellow and pink, white. It's kind of ugly actually. And when I knit it and I hold it up, I think this colour is horrible. But then when I wear it, I like it. It looks more cream in colour and it matches things. So looking at the ball, even if I hold the ball and put it next to my top, like they're different colours. It's bizarre. But it is a summer weight, so it is cotton, linen and viscose. I made obviously the short sleeve version, but not the one in the pattern. I just, instead of just stopping it here, I added about 7 rows of knitting. Then I watched a different podcaster who, I could just remember her name is Mimi. I cannot remember what her channel is, but she's in Berlin and she speaks in English in the YouTube podcast thing, blah, blah, blah. And she had oh my gosh. She had a ranunculus on and she had this really interesting ribbing on it. Admittedly, I don't think mine is showing up because it's in cotton and it's really loose gauge, but she told me it was a broken rib. So I googled that. There are so many different types of broken rib, so I'm not sure if I actually chose the same one. but theoretically it should be different. This is normal, that was just the normal rib. Then this one's broken rib, and this bottom part is broken rib. I think it's probably prettier in wool or a much denser fabric, but I'm happy with it regardless. I did buy the pattern last year or the year before, can't remember now. Time is just, who knows, 2020 to 2022 is just the same, everything's the same, and I have no idea when I bought the pattern, but the new version has been released, and I haven't printed it, but I just cross-compared on my phone the printed version and then the new one. I think I still just did the normal, not the normal size, because it was one size, and then she's, Midori Hirose has updated the pattern for bigger sizes, or different necks and different things, but that was all too much. I've already made 3 of them in different shapes and forms and yarns, so I just basically stuck with the same thing. But I did appreciate the instructions being clearer, because I have messed up several times on the exact same area when I've made them before, and now that she's listed how many stitches you should have or how many stitches it actually means when it says do this, that made it easier. Although I say that, I've made this really bizarre mistake, and it was on the front, but I've now swapped it around so it's on the back. I don't know if you'll be able to see it from here though. I'll just face here. I basically somehow dropped a stitch around here, and it ladders down, and I don't remember dropping it, I don't remember seeing it dropped, I don't remember picking up a stitch or thinking my count is off. I just somehow merged it back in so it looks like a big ladder and then goes back to normal. And it happened on one stitch. So I don't know what that's all about, but it's now on the back, so who cares? I don't really care. It's basically the same, like the short rows are on the front and on the back, so it's basically the same. What else? I did 4.5 for the ribbing, and then it doesn't actually tell you on this update, to my knowledge, to go up any needles. I can't actually remember the needles recommended, it's not what I used, but I did 4.5 and then I went up to 5 for the body, which I kind of regret now because it's a bit too loose. I've made one before in the same yarn, and I think it was probably my 2nd or 3rd podcast. It's a pink colour, and that one's a lot tighter. Admittedly, I was an English style knitter, so maybe I was just tighter in general. I didn't write any notes for it, so I have no idea what needles I used, but I just know I used that yarn. So it's come out looser than I expected, and I would have liked it tighter just so you could see the patterning better, but I don't care enough to rip it out and start again, so that's not happening. But I'm happy with it overall. I forgot to go down to 4.5 for the ribbing on the arms and the bottom, so that's also 5. Anything else? Don't think so. That's all I have to say. I love the pattern. I will make many more. I don't know, I do this with others. It's not just this pattern. I've also made other things again. I just really enjoy buying a pattern and then making it in different colours, or making a summer weight or making a winter weight. So I will eventually end up with just like 7 of everything. And that is everything for finished objects, I believe. Yes. So I have one new whip, and it is a present. So Emma, if you're getting married in July and you're watching this, go away. You're not welcome here now. This is a present for you, so you're not allowed to see. I'll have a sip of tea, so you know you've got time to turn this off, and don't continue watching. Okay, assuming Emma's gone and she doesn't ruin her surprise, I'm making her a shawl She's getting married in July, and I want to make her something like handmade and something she can look at and think, this is what I received for my wedding. I did want to make it in like a cream colour, but I have not been able to find anything cream that, when I was on this, I went on a shopping trip with my mum to find a yarn for it. Nowhere was there any cream. And then I just saw this colour and thought, it's really beautiful. It doesn't have to be cream. She's not going to wear it on her wedding, so I'll get it. I'm not staggeringly far with it, but I can show you where I am up to. So that's the bottom. I don't know how to show you. Maybe, yeah, that's better. There's the bottom lace section, then a garter section, and now I'm on the lace again. I have only made one shawl before. It was the Humlady shawl. And yeah, that's the only shawl I've made. This is my first one, and I saw it on, oh my gosh, I've forgotten her name. I will put her name and everything here. I can't believe I've forgotten her name. Free Your Sheep. Anastasia? I'll just put it here. I saw her recent podcast from Iceland, and she had made this shawl. She made it in a week. And I'm about 4 days in, and it's going to be 2 meters wide. So this is not going to be finished in the next 3 days. Yeah. Maybe I'll get it finished by the wedding. I really hope I do. Like, this section took, this very beginning was like 5 hours. I'm not a fast knitter, I'm not a super slow knitter, but I can't actually imagine how long this is going to take. I had wanted to make myself one for the wedding as well, but that's just ridiculous. That's not going to happen. I did have a few issues with the yarn choice, because I like woolly wools and silks and basically things that you can't put in the washing machine, hand-dyed things and delicate things basically. And my friend Emma has 2 cats, and you just know that like they're very cuddly cats, so they're gonna like get fur on it and vomit on it and probably destroy it, which is a bit soul destroying actually, but let's not think about that. I basically wanted a yarn she could put in the washing machine and not be really like delicate and careful about. And so this is the Regia Merio Yak. I've got the label here. There we go. I've got 2 of them, so I'm really hoping that's enough. And it's on 4mm needles, and I've got 2 of them, and I think they are, what are you? 100 grams, 400 meters, 4-ply. It's a really nice colour. I don't know if it will come out. No, there we go, just look at it from a distance. It's beautiful. I'm hoping that it comes out beautiful. I really wanted to use the same yarn that Anastasia did, but I thought it's going to end up needing to be washed, and I can't imagine my friend being anybody that takes, it always sounds rude when I say they're not going to take care of their things or wash their things. I don't mean it rudely, because I know when I didn't knit, I would just throw things in the wash and not think about it. But now I knit and sew, everything has to be like gently cared for and washed, and so I just don't expect that she's going to think, oh, I must block this on my floor and keep my cats off of it and be very careful and gentle. So basically I've made it baby proof and kid, and I have made it suitable for living with cats. And it's stuck on my ring. Okay, so that is my whip. I have made a little bit of progress. Shall I show you? I'll show you. Where are you? My very, very fancy snazzy project bag. Yeah, look at that. This is just the bag that my Swift came in. One day I'll have some really fancy nice project bags, but buying yarn and fabric is more important to me right now. Okay, so this is the Felix Cardigan. I have made progress. It's not super duper large amounts, but it is there. Everything is so see-through. It looks really weird on camera. Can you tell? So it's, there we go, there's the key feature of the Felix. Doing a grand job here. So basically, I have cast it on, I have split for the sleeves, they're on these cable things, and I'm working my way down the body. I've got about 4 or 5 inches of the body to go, and I'm using Retrosaria Fiora. Let's show you this one. It is the colour 539. So yeah, I haven't made a huge amount of progress because I was chugging away on this and chugging away on my cactus, and now I'm focusing on the shawl because that has a deadline, which I've now realised I probably wouldn't be a fantastic test knitter, because as soon as I put a deadline on it I thought, I don't really want to knit this right now. But I have to, so I'm doing it. So yeah, I honestly don't have much to say about this. It looks bizarre on camera, it looks bizarre in real life. At some point it will grow, and when the arms start growing then it'll probably resemble a cardigan more. But I'm looking forward to wearing it in the autumn, which is probably when I finish it. Although it's on bigger needles, and I assume it's going to fluff out a bit because it's quite open. I know that the cardigan is open anyway, the pattern is made to look a bit more open. It does look really open, which does seem to be the theme. It's hilarious really, because I've got really open, loose knitting and then really tight knitting. There's not like a middle ground. I'm either really tight or really loose, and I don't do anything different. I don't get it. Anywho, that is the Felix. It's where it's going. I'll just dump that on the floor. Don't knock my plant over. Tea. I'm not sure what to talk about first. I have a few little, like, really random things. I've got some acquisitions, and I've got a little bit of sewing chat, and I have a little bit more of like misc knitting chat. Let's do misc knitting, then acquisitions, then sewing. Yes, let's do that. So when my mum was here, she tried on some of my knits. I will show you briefly. I made, whoops, I'm just being attacked by a Pikachu toy. I made the, oh gosh, Maja, the Maja cardigan last year, I think. I made this, and although it's beautiful and I really love, I'm so proud of myself. It was the first colourwork project that I did, and it's so beautiful. The downside for me is the size, because I did the sleeves and they came out really tight, which I've now learned is because I was doing magic loop, and every time I got to the end I would pull all my stitches so I wouldn't get a ladder, but it actually just really tightened all the colourwork. So then I thought, oh, this must be, the size is too small, or I should go up a needle size. So then I went up a needle size for this section, but that completely changed the gauge, obviously, because I didn't need to change this. I just needed not to pull, and then it wouldn't be tight. And then if this was the same, if this was the same needle used, it would have come out the correct size. But I didn't know that then. So although it's beautiful and warm and I'm melting, so why am I doing this to myself? It's too big and it just looks too big. Like my armpit is here for reference and it's all the way down here. And this, I blocked it before I steeked it, but then I didn't block it again when I added the button band. But it just flops, like especially when it's done up, it just flops open at the back here. And I really don't like that. So I asked my mum to try it on and it was beautiful on her. It looked so good across her back and it just looks so rubbish on mine. And it fits her arms, it goes right into the places it should. She has a much bigger bust, so it goes right into places it should. So what I have to do is cut this off. I'm just going to check my battery. Yeah, that's grand. So she is a bigger person than me. I have tiny wrists. She has normal sized wrists. So this didn't really fit. She was able to squeeze it over, but she wouldn't be comfortable to wear it day to day. So I have to cut this and then re-knit. I haven't actually figured out how to do it. I don't know if I should pick up stitches here and then knit down, because these are actually knitted from the cuff up. So if I cut it here and then knit down from my picked up stitches, or if I pick it up, rip all this out and then start from here, making it bigger, and then somehow grafting it together. I know Fernanda on Little Monkeys and Me, she did a mistake on her colourwork socks and she talked about it and said how she grafted things together. But I haven't actually figured out how to do this. Is it like a Kitchener stitch? Or is it like a 3-needle bind off kind of? I don't know. If any of you know how to do this, please tell me. You can message down below in the comments or Instagram. I'm on there. That would be handy. I'm also Emily Kate Made This. I'm really bad at actually advertising myself. I am on Instagram, I am on Ravelry, and I just set up a Ko-fi coffee account as well. If you want to support the channel, no stress, don't have to. Liking, subscribing, that's also good, but just so you know. Yeah, so if you know how to graft or whatever I need to do here, this bit's fine. I just need to rip out the colourwork on the sleeves, make them a size bigger, and go up the needle size the same as this one. And yeah, also I need to add a ribbon to my steek because it's super ugly. It looks terrible. Like, I just cut it and thought, that's grand, it's only me wearing it. I did do the crochet reinforcement, but from this side, it looks terrible. I think I've done a terrible job. So I need to get a ribbon and attach that. I haven't learned how to do that yet, but I'm sure that's possible. Yeah, when I look at this, I think I did not reinforce this well at all. If this was superwash, it would just completely come undone. Maybe I can use a sewing machine. Anyway, that's a worry for another day. So that's the plan. Then I'm going to gift this to my mum, and I would like to knit another one for myself. And I'm thinking, it's dangerous when I do this, thinking I might do it from the top down. And that's another question I have actually. When you reverse engineer a pattern, this one is started from the bottom and goes up. So obviously you do your, obviously, and then I completely lose my train of thought. You decrease. Is it as simple as swapping out decreases for increases? Like, do I need to do anything else? Because for me this came out just stupidly in the wrong place, like I showed you down here. If I notice that my yoke is coming down too long, I can just split for the sleeves and continue on this patterning on the sleeve But if I do it from bottom up, I just don't see how that's going to work. So I need to work on that. I thought I'd make it a sweater. Maybe I'll do another cardigan. I just want to get the knitting part right. I want to get the sizing right. I want it to work. So that is the story for that one. A little bit of acquisitions, don't worry, I haven't got thousands. I know a lot of people say people don't like watching it. I'm not super into it, I'm not super against it. It's just sharing some yarn. So if it for some reason bothers you, thank you for watching, I guess. Thank you for watching, and you can skip forward if you want to listen to more blah blah blah. Otherwise, I'll just briefly show you. So, I went with my mum to Berlin. I have seen them online, but it was the first time I went to an actual yarn store where I could touch yarn that I've only ever seen on the internet. I have been to a couple of places, like the supermarket has some yarn, and there's a shop that, what is it? Idea Creative. That's also in Berlin, and they have some yarn, so I've seen that. But I haven't been to like a fancy schmancy yarn store, and so I was very excited to go. So we went to Berlin, and as soon as I walked in the door, I saw a yarn that I love, and I've seen on Etsy. Actually, she's moved from an Etsy store now to a real one, her own website. It's Kiez Garn. You've already seen me with a few yarns here that I got for Christmas. It wasn't my birthday, for my birthday. And I will move this here. I walked in the door, I saw this, fell in love, and my mum did the exact same thing to the yarn right next door. Isn't this colour the most beautiful colour? Oh. It's called Oberbaum, hand-dyed in Berlin. It's a merino sock. It is superwash and nylon, and it's so beautiful. I generally buy non-superwash, but there's a top pattern, that a summer tank, and I don't want to have a wool that will felt, because it gets to like 30-35 degrees Celsius, and there's never a time I'll wear a nice floaty tank in the winter to need it to be woolly wool. And if I wear it in the summer and I'm sweating, which I will, then it'll felt, and that's gross. So that's why I got superwash, and I adore this colour. I saw this colour around Christmas, and I just wanted it. It was one of those weird things where I'd regularly check the Etsy to make sure that it was still there, but then I never bought it because then I'd have to pay postage, and I thought, but it's in Berlin and I could just get it when I go to Berlin, and that was like a year later. But it was there, and it was the last one, and I'm so happy. And I just took it out of the freezer because I just put everything in the freezer, because if you watch my last YouTube you'll know moths have arrived, so everything's shoved in the freezer, and they've still got another 2 days to go. So they're out briefly to show you, and then I'm putting them back in. So that was purchase number 1. Although technically my mum bought that for me. Thank you, Mama. And I bought this one, and I'm sure you've all heard of this as well. Again, Retrosaria, Pomar. This is the Mondim. It is a sock base, and it was so beautiful. Why does this camera not focus? From a distance. I'm already aware that the colour is stunning in the ball, but probably when I knit it up it will resemble this not so ever. Not so ever? It won't resemble this whatsoever. I speak English, I swear. Yeah, it probably won't look like this, but it just looks so beautiful. So I bought it. It's non-superwash. Not sure if I'll use it for socks purely because I'm so loose at knitting that I feel like a hole will just immediately appear. But because I'm already using 2.25 and then 2 for the heel, the idea of going down to 1.75 for knitting is just torture, and I'm not quite there yet. Maybe one day. But at the moment, this is here because I've been looking at it on the internet, and then I went to a store and I touched it and I thought, oh, I need it. So I now have it. It will be made into something. Maybe socks, we shall see. I also got another miscellaneous item that has no use. That sounds wrong. I have no use planned for it, which is something that I insisted I wouldn't do. When I'm on the internet, I don't buy things with no purpose, and I've only gone yarn shopping like that. But in real life, I saw this yarn and I got 2 because it was in a discount bin for €3, and the colour was so nice. It's Rowan Hemp Tweed. It's 50 grams and it's 95 meters. I have absolutely no idea what weight that is. I'm guessing like worsted or Aran. And I have absolutely no planned use for it. I've got 2. They only had 2. But the colour's so nice and it has hemp, and I really want to make something with hemp. Admittedly, the other 75% is wool, but I'm going to assume colour work. I could do something with colour work with this. I do feel guilty for just buying it at random, but I wanted to buy yarn with my mum and it was £3. Was it recommended needles of 4.5 millimeters, and the gauge is 19 stitches to 25 rows. So if any of you have any ideas, please pop them down below. I would be very grateful. And my final purchase was an unexpected and delightful purchase. Also in the the reduced bin. I went to Yarn Over Berlin, which is the only yarn store I've actually been in, and I went there with my mum when I moved to Berlin, and I didn't know anything about knitting. I would just look at the yarn and think, one day I will know what to do with this because I want to own it. I want all these colours and these fibres and all the loveliness. So I've been there before, but not as a knitter. So I went there. It was wonderful, and the selection isn't as big as in Yarn Over Berlin, as in Wollen Berlin. They have a lot more different kinds of yarn, different brands of yarn. But Yarn Over Berlin has different brands to the ones that are in. They're different. They're both marvellous, but they're different. And I got really weirdly emotional about seeing knitted garments that I didn't make. Like the shawl, yeah, shawlography, that's what it's called, right? The Stephen West, the mystery knit-along shawl thing from last year. I'm not actually interested in it, it's not my style, but I've seen so many on the internet. And I walked in the shop and I saw it in real life and I was like, wow! And I touched it and it was like somebody else made this. And then I looked at samples and there was also a ranunculus and in different wools that I've never touched before. And yeah, I was really weirdly emotional about seeing knitting in real life because I don't have any knitting friends that I know in person. I have some knitting friends online, so hello knitting friends. So I've never seen anybody else's knitting, and I've never touched anybody else's knitting, and I've never touched wools in a shop. And I touched, how do you pronounce it? Izaga? Yarn? Never really, I've seen it online, never really been interested, but I touched their yarn and oh my gosh, I need it. I need all of them. The alpaca, oh, it feels so good. And yeah, now I've touched all of these yarn brands that I've never really had a fuss about, and now I do. So I got very emotional about touching sample garments got very excited about touching the wool. And then I found this beautiful skein. That colour. It's a little bit more muted in real life. It's coming on the camera very blue, but it's actually more like a sea breeze, sea blue. Can I mute it? Probably not. It's not quite as blue. It's more turquoisey sea. It's called Salty Air, and I saw it was in the reduced bin, so pick this up. It is baby alpaca, so 50% baby alpaca, 25% silk and 25% linen, 400 meters and 100 grams, and it's by The Uncommon Thread. And first of all I touched it, and it was, well, first of all I saw the colour, there was only one left, then I touched it, and that was it. I was buying it immediately. Then I saw it was hand dyed in Britain. And then when I looked them up on the train home, I saw that it's hand dyed in Brighton. So I bought a little piece of home because I went to college in Brighton, and it's my biggest city when I lived in the UK. It's the closest city to me, I should say. Yeah, so I go there all the time when I visit my family, and I really, really miss going to Brighton. So yeah, I'm really happy to have this unexpected little piece of home. I'm not sure what I'll make with this either. I was thinking a shawl, but I do think, oh, I'll make a shawl, and then I've only ever made one, so I'm not sure if, when, how, what, but again, if you have any ideas, if you have any one skein shawls, or maybe I could get another skein of something similar to blend it with. The Ziggy Shawl would be lovely in this, but I only have one. So yeah, that's the end of my acquisitions. I hope you enjoyed. I very much did. My mum got a Kiez garn called, what is it, Spray Morning, and it's beautiful, and they look so good together. So I was kind of hoping if she had any leftover scraps, she might give them to me. Yeah, they look good. Okay, my battery is telling me I should stop talking, so I will briefly talk. Last time I showed you the dress that I wanted to make for my friend's wedding, the same friend who's getting the shawl, and I had mixed reviews, I should say. It's a big open top. If you haven't seen it, check out my last video, it's towards the end. It's a really deep V dress, and a couple of people said if I add some darts to the bottom then it would bring in the fabric a bit more, which theoretically sounds wonderful, but I don't actually know like how to do that and keep the... I know how to do darts, but it's... I'm getting a bit lost here. Hang on. I know how to sew darts, but this pattern, I want it to look like the pattern. And if I add darts, then it will look different. But equally, I also want it to not like flare open. And when my mum saw it, she wasn't particularly impressed. She also said, it doesn't really sit in the right place. The band should be under your bust and not like midway. But on the pattern and on the model, it sits basically where it sits on me. So I had ordered some linen because that was a mock dress, that was practice. I ordered linen, and I said to you last time, I think, it just didn't arrive. And then I contacted and they said, oh, our machines are broken, it'll be in 2 weeks, or a week I think. And a week passed and I had nothing. I contacted them and waited, and then they said, oh, it'll definitely be shipping out this week. And I joked and said, that was on a Monday, and I said, oh, they'll probably send it on Friday. So I waited till Friday, nothing. Then I contacted them on Monday and they said, well, none of the fabric that you ordered is now in stock. But you could get this one thing I ordered, which would then mean I pay like €20 postage for like a meter of fabric, because their postage is insane. I don't know if this is normal, but I've looked for linen fabric in Europe and the postage is insane. So cancelled that, that's done, and I thought this is a sign. Like, lots of people said the dress is nice but you'll need to get a modesty lace, or you need, I wanted to make a bra for it, but then again, I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to actually start doing it. I've only got a month and a bit. So the sign for me was if the fabric I ordered for the dress didn't arrive, the only fabric that was available was for something completely different, I will not make that dress this time around. I do want to try making it again, or modifying the dress I have so I can wear it and play around, but without the time pressure and without the expense of the linen and then never wearing it. So if you haven't seen it and you look back at my last video and have ideas, please share. Again, I'm on Instagram, or you can pop it down below. Yeah, so I'm a bit now with what I will make. I found, my mum bought a pattern, that's a lie, my mum bought a magazine that has a pattern. I only discovered later that after seeing that they had Liberty fabric for quite cheap, I then realised the magazine's from 2014. But it's this one on the cover. I was thinking maybe lengthening it. So I've printed it out. You're actually standing on it because I put my tripod right on top of all of the pattern pieces. The only issue I've got is an issue I tend to come up against a lot, is the sizing, because they don't have finished measurements, they just have use your body measurements and then make this. But the bodice, like I'm a 32-inch bust, but if I make a dress that is 32-inch, then I can't breathe. So then if I make it 30, I don't know, say 34, it gets really saggy around the armpits because there's too much fabric. But then if I don't, then it's too tight on my back. And then it's always, if you have a 32-inch bust, then you automatically should have a 24-inch waist. That is never going to happen. My waist is about 28 if I'm standing up and it's the morning. If I sit down, it's about 29 inches. And if it's the evening, we're looking more at 30 inches when I sit. Because if I'm wearing a dress, I am not going to be standing up all day in this dress. When I sit down to see a friend, to go for coffee, to have lunch, to do something, I still need to breathe and I need to sit. And this doesn't ever seem to be accommodated into the clothing that I ever make or buy. So when it has a zip, I always have to sit down and unzip my dress. But when I stand up, it fits, it's loose, like there's space, I can move and do stuff. And then when I sit down, I'm like, oh, I can't breathe. Unzip, which you can't really do in public. And at a wedding, definitely not. So this dress is a 32-inch bust, 24-inch waist, and then a 34 hip. I think mine is 35. So I've tried grading the pattern out, but I have to grade 4 sizes out. So I've got 32, but I've actually gone up to give myself more space. So I've gone, it's on the floor, from a size 12 at the bust to a size 16 at the waist, and then to a 12 again at the hips. And it's a princess bodice, and I've never made one of these before, and I'm not sure if it's all going to fit together because of my grading out technique. So it's going to be interesting. But I thought I'd give that one a whirl. And I've also seen a couple of dresses on Instagram that I might try, but again, I'm not really sure. But I am going to order some linen from a completely different store, not that one. And if that arrives, then we'll know that's the dress right there. So yeah, that is everything, I think. Anything else? No, I'm gonna say that is everything. I've been talking for a bazillion minutes, so thank you. Thank you for listening. If you got this far, well done. My husband can come home now. It's starting to rain. And yeah, anything else? Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Ravelry. I'm on Ko-Fi. And I will be back hopefully sooner rather than later. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!